All right, everybody. The cooking competition is about to begin. Please welcome to the stage our executive chef, Gary Wolfson.
Welcome, everybody. It's a delight to have you here, and I know that it's lunchtime, so everybody's probably feeling a little hungry. Your stomachs are probably growling, I know mine is, and the subject of food always makes it growl just a little bit more. My name's Gary Wolfson, and for those of you that don't know me, I have a deep passion for cooking. It's one of my hobbies. I've been cooking since I was small, and I've made lots of meals. I also have a deep passion for competition and for competing, and I love to win. And I also have a deep passion for customers and partners and what Cisco technology can do to really transform the way we do business. Today, we're going to bring all three of those things together, and we're going to open a basket of ingredients, and we're going to share with you the value of Cisco software and how that can really change the game. So when we think about what's really happening here in the world, we've talked a lot about change and the role that digital transformation has in the changes that are going on. I think it's probably been overstated at this point that we've gone through something unprecedented in the form of a pandemic, and it changed everything about the way we think about work, life, learning, and everything in between. We see geopolitical challenges, energy challenges, and the pressures on you have never been greater to be able to conquer those challenges and have IT and technology be at the heart of how we solve those problems. So today, we're going to unpack for you through a cooking competition scenario how we can really bring to bear solutions using Cisco software and our licensing to help you conquer those challenges. When we think about really where you are in your investment cycle, research continues to show us that you're actually looking to invest more in IT as the way to start to conquer the challenges that you face. And that's very telling in terms of the role, even where GDP in some cases is shrinking, the spending for IT is growing. And that's a very telling statistic. Now, I talked a moment ago about we, and I'm up here alone, and I was supposed to be joined by my sous chef, Daniel. I haven't seen Daniel. Has anybody seen my sous chef?
Sorry, Gary. Sorry, chef. You know, there's a lot of bikes to dodge on the way over here, so I'm a little late.
Well, glad you could join us. It's really good to have you here, Daniel. And when we think about today's competition, we're going to cook up a three-course meal. And that three-course meal is really made up of some critical components that we're going to pull out of the basket. We're going to talk about the Cisco Enterprise Agreement. How many have heard of the Cisco Enterprise Agreement? Wonderful. Well, we're going to share with you some updates there and how you can benefit from a single contract to get access to all the technology you need. For our second course, we're going to talk about the role that Lifecycle plays in helping you get all of the value out of the investment in that enterprise agreement in your Cisco technology. And third, we're going to serve up a delicious dessert with our partners who help bring it all together. So Daniel, when we think about the enterprise agreement, let's talk a little bit more about what really is in the enterprise agreement and what's new about the enterprise agreement.
Yeah, happy to, Gary. So, Cisco's been selling EAs for many years, but we're excited to talk about EA 3.0, which is our newest offer. In fact, just here this week in Amsterdam, we've officially announced that it is generally available to both our customers and our partners. So what's really exciting about EA 3.0? So you can see here, it's a single platform, a single framework, a single contract for all your Cisco technology that works on a recurring revenue model. So if you think about subscription for your software licenses, or support for your maintenance for software or your hardware devices, all of that is in a recurring model with Cisco now. So rather than having to manage separate subscriptions and kind of micro subscriptions that have different renewal start dates, we now have one contract, one experience, and one platform. What else is really exciting about that is Cisco's gone through many acquisitions in the past. And so a lot of our EAs used to sit on separate legal paper with different terms and conditions, things like Meraki, AppDynamics, WebEx. And now we have a single platform that brings together truly all of Cisco's technology, so you can co-term and bring spend across all of these portfolios you see on the screen and put that into a single contract, a single framework to make consuming software simple with Cisco. I obviously am very excited about EAs, but Gary, why should our guests really care?
Yeah, there's really 3 reasons why the EA has become more compelling than ever. One, we talked about the business challenges you have and how the digital experiences you need to create, many times you have to do that quickly. The notion of business agility is fundamental to how we solve this challenge. Second, we want to deliver a premium experience. We want this to be second nature for you, and we don't want the tools and the licensing and all of what it takes to get that to you to get in the way. And we're going to talk more about that. And then third, you've got to get value, and it has to be unmatched. It has to be unparalleled. Why don't we unpack that and talk a bit more about business agility?
Yeah, so business agility really starts with making the EA available to more of our customers. So we've lowered the barrier to entry with EAs, where rather than taking a siloed technology approach, where you have to meet a minimum spend for each architecture, we make it easier now to combine your spend across different Cisco technologies, different BUs, and now enter that into a 3 to 5 year agreement. The entry point is $100,000 over the lifetime of the contract. And again, you can combine spend across different product families to meet that 100K minimum. The other part of business agility is meeting you guys based on where you are in your consumption journey. Previously, EAs with Cisco were enterprise-wide, meaning we would assess how many devices, how many users does a customer have, and we would say you need to cover licenses for all those devices or all those users. But that doesn't cover every use case. We know customers may have different functionality at the core of their network that they don't need at the edge, or maybe you want to test something in your environment before you go enterprise-wide. So we've offering something called partially committed suites. Partially committed suites allow you to buy as little as 1 license in a given product and now co-term that as part of your EA agreement. So you can seamlessly add those products in even if you're not meeting a certain spend threshold. So now we really can make it a single contract. Previously, we kind of had a fragmented approach where maybe some of your licenses were outside of the EA and then other licenses were in the EA. We want to get rid of that and move those a la carte subscriptions into the EA regardless of the spend commitment that you guys are willing to make. And then the last thing is providing security at the foundation of everything. So no matter what EA technology you buy, you could start with DNA, you could start with Meraki, you're going to get access to our security portfolio as part of that arrangement. So you can draw down those security licenses, use those as you need throughout the term of that agreement. And so it's that on-demand ability to add services on the fly that really brings home business agility. So why don't you tell them a little bit more about the premium experience?
I'd love to do that. You know, when I think about that partial commit, it's kind of like the chef's taste. It's that amuse-bouche to get you started on something. Let's talk about premium experience. Getting access to the licenses and not having to go all across a bunch of systems is fundamental. We've heard a lot of feedback from you that you want a single place to do that. That now happens in the EA workspace, where all of the licenses you're entitled to and the licenses you want to get access to can now be accessed in one simple place. You've asked for more predictability around pricing, and now we have the ability, and we'll talk more about this through today's discussion, to have predictable pricing throughout so that you can budget and plan and execute with no surprises. You also want the ability to bring all those contracts together, like Daniel said, and co-term them, and that's really fundamental here. And when we think about delivering a premium experience, when you have new use cases, new challenges, we want to make it readily available for you to get the licenses you need when you need them. Now let's round it out and talk about value and really how we deliver unparalleled levels of value. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Daniel.
thanks, Chef. So, value. The best meal in the world is only good if it's affordable, right? So with EA, we want to provide that unmatched value for our customers. And that starts with something I'll use another cooking analogy for. So when you're at a restaurant and you're buying something off the menu a la carte, typically you're going to pay a premium for kind of picking and choosing those dishes as you please, versus buying kind of a set course meal from the chef that will come at a discount. EAs work the exact same way. When you buy an EA, we have built-in discounts that drive a better price per license than what you would get if you decided to buy those in an a la carte subscription. So as you can see on the screen, that initial purchase price per license is going to be lower. But the real value of this, especially in today's economy, you guys have probably heard about Cisco price increases a lot in the past few years. And really what we do is we fix that price throughout the 3 or 5 year term. So you get what we call a not to exceed price. that caps the price based on whatever you bought those licenses at the initial sale. So then what that means is if you need any additional licenses during the term of that contract, you know exactly what price you will pay. And even if Cisco is increasing prices in our systems, you as an EA customer would be protected from those increases. So this is really about locking you into the EA contract and also providing that better price, that price predictability, and providing more transparency around what you will pay if your licensing needs change throughout that 3 or 5 year term.
Yeah, Daniel, so I think covering the value, the premium experience, and the agility, that's all really important in terms of the fundamentals, but I feel like we've kind of been hanging out in the test kitchen. And I think it's time for us to start cooking. What do you all think? Let's start cooking. We're going to cook up a use case for you. How many of you have ever contemplated or had to think about a network refresh in the last few years? Show of hands. I see a lot of hands going up. Well, we're going to share with you how the enterprise agreement, EA 3.0, can really be leveraged to facilitate that network refresh, which is all important as we continue to think about the digital challenges that lie before us. Want to tell us a little bit more about that, Daniel?
Happy to. All right, so you're looking at the screen. We just said network refresh, and now you see a stack of papers. You probably think these guys are crazy. They might actually be chefs. This has nothing to do with IT. You may be right. But this is the reality of what network refreshes have become. When you are refreshing your network, we know that's typically a 6 to 18 month journey with Cisco. What that looks like is typically a branch by branch approach where you are rolling out different devices and licenses at different locations over time. The challenge with that is that you're also buying piecemeal as well. So as we've moved to a subscription model, you have to worry about things like start and end dates piling up and then managing that kind of leakage of those different contracts. We don't think that should be IT's problem, right? So with the EA, the benefit of this is giving you that single licensing platform and a single contract so that we can turn this kind of headache of administrative burden into an opportunity for you guys to spend more time innovating and driving value with that new network. So Gary, if you could advance the slide, we'll see exactly what that would look like for you guys as customers. The first benefit of doing a network refresh in an EA is something called a ramp promotion. Ramp promotion acknowledges the fact that network refreshes don't take place overnight. And so we provide a 6-month discount baked into that EA to allow you guys to realize that value of changing that network and migrating those licenses, and the cost of the actual contract aligns with that. So rather than having to pay for everything up front and then not really getting the value of it until that 6-month process is complete, now we've built in that discount so that it aligns with your value realization of the software. Second of all, Gary alluded to the EA Workspace as that single portal for all your licensing. So this is a quick snapshot of that landing page, and essentially it will show you all of the licenses you have in your EA, and then you can manage and deploy those or migrate those licenses from one portal. So as you move from one branch to the next, you can draw down the licenses from your EA contract, you can deploy those at the device that you want them to sit on, and then ultimately drive that functionality over that 6 to 18 month journey. So Gary, I just said a lot. I don't even think I can remember it. So what were some of the benefits of this network refresh?
Yeah, there's a few key things. I'm going to start at the end and work my way back. It's all about getting you to what we call the outcome, which is really the solution that you're looking for. By giving you access to the licenses in one simple place, the EA Workspace, it gets you on the road faster to your network refresh. That ramp promotion is critical to give you the time to get all the equipment in place before you actually start paying for and using the licenses. And of course, the easier management ability of the licenses as you continue to expand your network. Now, you know, we're talking about use cases here, and when I think about the cooking experience and the dining experience for all of our guests, what would happen if an unwanted guest were to happen to show up? Let's talk about security and how this plays out. The ultimate unwanted guest at any dinner party is a hacker, and nobody wants a hacker at their dinner party spoiling a fine experience. So when we think about how we get rid of that hacker, how we deal with that, the enterprise agreement is the perfect place for you to get the security solutions you need to quickly mitigate the threat when you've been hacked. Let's talk a little bit more about how the EA comes into play here.
Thank you, Chef. And I think this goes back to business agility, which we talked about. So ultimately, when you're dealing with a threat in your network, you don't have time to go through procurement cycles, to go through negotiations on discount. And with the EA, you don't have to worry about that. I mentioned you get on-demand access to security licenses in your EA contract. So as you're dealing with this very high priority event, we don't want you to have to worry about, okay, I need to go talk to a partner, I need to go figure out how I'm gonna get access to the products I need. So let's say you just need visibility because you don't even know where the hack is in your network. So Cisco offers our full security portfolio in the EA. So we could use a product like Secure Network Analytics to get visibility to what's going on in the network, see where any unusual behavior is coming from. But the real benefit of doing that in the EA is that you can access those licenses on demand, and then you won't have to pay for them until later with something we call a true forward. So that true forward is an annual review of your licensing with Cisco, where we only pay for the remaining contract years. So as you draw down those security licenses, you can quickly address that problem, but you won't have to pay for it right at that moment, because what we're gonna do is wait till that next anniversary date. We'll look at what security products were consumed, and then you'll get billed based upon that for the remaining years in your EA contract.
Well, this is interesting. So we use the EA to quickly get the software we need to get that unwanted guest out of the party. But now what do we do to keep other unwanted guests from coming back?
Yeah, so ultimately it's about identifying the issue and then getting proactive. So I mentioned it's not just secure network analytics in the portfolio. So maybe we discover that unusual activity is due to a phishing attack. So somebody's email was vulnerable and they were hacked. Maybe there was an endpoint that was vulnerable. So now you're getting access to some of these other products in the EA, and you can now move from identifying the issue to proactively rolling out an enterprise-wide solution to make sure all users, all devices are protected, and that we don't do this piecemeal and leave ourselves vulnerable again.
Well, let's recap that, because I think that's a great way to make sure that we help you all protect that network that you refreshed and keep those unwanted guests from your dinner party. So let's look at that. I think there's 3 things to remember. 1, true forward. This is an industry-defining differentiator of the Cisco Enterprise Agreement, where we want you to get access to the technology you need when you need it in an agile manner and on your contract anniversary date. Then we reset your price going forward. That way you don't have to worry about going through another procurement cycle. As well, we want to make sure that you can address the issues fast. Having access to EA Workspace, getting the licenses you need, and being able to pull those down, that's that agility value that we talked about before. So these are a couple of examples, and there's many more where the Cisco Enterprise Agreement can really be the difference maker in how you get access to the technology you need.
All right, so cooking analogy number 852. So with the EA portfolio, we think of this as a pantry that's fully stocked. A great example is you're trying to cook your favorite meal. When you're buying a la carte, think of that as driving to the store to buy each ingredient individually. You gotta get in your car, drive to the store, you buy the salt. You get in your car, drive to the store, I got my meat. You have to do that over and over again, because essentially you're revisiting that procurement cycle every time you're buying a subscription. The EA is your fully stocked pantry. You buy it, you negotiate it once. You will have true forwards on an annual basis, but the best thing is that with your EA Workspace, with your contract, you get access to the full pantry of ingredients. So as we look at the 5 portfolios here, it's all our most beloved software and maintenance products. So think about network infrastructure. That includes things like DNA, Meraki, data center networking. We have security, which includes all of our security portfolio. We have applications, which includes App Dynamics, Intersight, Thousand Eyes. And then we have our portfolio of collaboration, which allows you to do WebEx meetings, messaging, and calling. Lastly, the real benefit and a big change with EA 3.0 is that ability to have your software support services as well as solution support as part of that services portfolio. So rather than having to manage your software licenses on one contract and then having separate renewal cycles and reviews for your maintenance, now we can bring that into one contract. It's all in the pantry, and you guys can get cooking together.
I love a well-stocked pantry because I don't always know what I want to cook, but when I do, I want to open it up, get the pans firing, and start cooking up a dish. So let's recap the enterprise agreement and how you can really leverage that pantry. When we think about the enterprise agreement and EA 3.0 and the innovations we've done there, this is really about making it easier for you to get what you need, to be able to expand when you have new use cases, to be able to use our True Forward mechanism as a way to plan more effectively your spend, and ultimately to be able to do that all under one contract. We've lowered the barrier to entry, so the enterprise agreement can be the way in which you get access to your software, no matter your use case. And we think that's really fundamental and game-changing, and how Enterprise Agreement 3.0 really rounds out value for you. Now, we talked about today, we're going to cook up multiple courses, aren't we?
Of course.
Where should we go next?
That first dish was pretty good, Gary.
Yeah.
But one dish does not make a perfect meal. So how do we take a really delicious first course and bring that to life and kind of mold these dishes together for a real dining experience?
Yeah, let's talk about our second course. And you know, one of the things that I've come to know about cooking, serving others, and dining in nice restaurants is the best meals are the ones where chefs put love in the food. And the analogy here is the love in the food is the life cycle. And the life cycle is really where we unlock the taste, unlock the experience, and make sure that all through the dining experience or all through the life of the contract, you maximize the value all the way through. Let's talk about life cycle and what's underneath that.
Yeah, I think the beauty of the EA is that it's not a one-stop where Cisco sells you something and then moves away. So think about this process where it doesn't start with an EA conversation. The way this really starts is you have a business need. You have a challenge, you're trying to innovate. Once we identify that need, we will find with Cisco sellers and our partners the right solution that fits that need, and then identify if the EA is the right way for you guys to procure those licenses. Then it moves into the onboarding phase where really we can't just sell you something and then not tell you how to use the EA workspace. How do you get access to those licenses? So we'll be with you along that onboarding journey as well. But there's a lot to worry about throughout a 3 or a 5-year contract. You have things like budgeting cycles. Maybe there are users that need additional training to understand how the products work. Maybe you have additional product needs or expansion, so you need to understand, how do I draw down more licenses? How do I access the other products in the EA? How does that actually work? And ultimately, we know that that can kind of stack up for our customers. So what we've seen is about 3/4 of IT leaders struggle with this balance between operational excellence and innovation. So how do we make sure that challenge of kind of managing the operational experience doesn't become a customer's issue?
Yeah, I think that's really fundamental because we want to help you to stay focused on your core business. So a combination of Cisco and our partners really working together with you help you to navigate that life cycle, and will lead you all along the path, all along that journey, to make sure that you get the value you need so that you don't have to go it alone. And that's really fundamental to the way we think about life cycle and how we're really innovating in the area of customer experience and customer success.
Perfect. So what is that experience like with a partner?
Yeah, so let's move on to our third course here. We're going to reach back into the basket of ingredients. When I think about partners, I'm going to use an analogy here. You walk into a restaurant, you're greeted by a smiling face, you're seated at this beautiful table, your napkin is laid in your lap. The server comes up to you and says, I understand you have some dieting restrictions and we need to make sure we prepare special food for you. You've got the wine and the sommelier who comes up and says, I understand you're having the duck. Let me match the perfect wine for you. This experience is really where our partners shine, in anticipating your every need and making sure that you get that premium experience all the way through. And only our partners are really equipped to take you and lead you through that. So when we think about our partners, we've been building a world-class partner ecosystem for over 3 decades. And many of you work with some of the best and brightest partners on the planet. These partners have delivered over 50 million network endpoints. They invest heavily in certifications, in training, in building lifecycle practices and services so that you can stay focused on your business and they can make sure you get the solutions that you need. Over 90% of our business around the world goes to market through our partners. And if you've ever heard Oliver Tusick, he's my boss and our executive chef and senior vice president of the worldwide go-to-market and partner organization, he's declared that we're in the age of the partner. And we've really turned a corner in terms of the next generation of partnering and having them really be solutions focused and understanding the dynamics of the market today and helping you get the value that you need. Partners are really fundamental in helping bring all this together so that you have that world-class experience. That's how partners really play here. Daniel, why don't you talk to us a little bit about how our audience can think about choosing the right partner for their outcome, for their solution?
Yeah, I loved that analogy, probably 900 cooking analogies now. But when you're choosing a partner, it's just like that dining experience where, as Gary said, they're that service staff to anticipate your every need. And I'm not sure about you guys, but I've had great meals ruined by a subpar experience, and I've had, an average meal turned into an extraordinary experience because a partner or a server made it spectacular, right? So we want to make sure that as customers are investing in EAs with Cisco, that they know exactly what to prioritize when selecting a partner. This is new. Software is not where we built our bread and butter, but we have invested more and more of our portfolio in that. So when you're working with a partner, you should be thinking about that entree. That first thing is the thing that you guys focus on every day, which is your industry and your outcomes. Does that partner understand your industry? Do they understand your business? Can they help you evaluate what that need is and what that solution is to better prepare you? The other part of that, though, is licensing expertise. So Cisco licensing is all of that piece around, how do I access my EA workspace? How do I migrate a license from an old device to a new device? How do I draw down additional licenses? So there are some questions you could ask your partner. Do you understand smart accounts? Do you understand the EA workspace? Do you have a customer experience specialization? If partners can answer all of those questions and really tell you what their value prop is around EAs, then you're going to be in good hands, and this is going to make this journey seamless. For that next round, it's really around what certifications and specialties they have. Do they have technology specializations to support the technology you're buying in the EA? Are they customer experience specialized? All of these trainings take hours and hours for our partners to complete so that we can make sure they deliver that world-class experience to you all. And then lastly, the sweetest course of all for dessert, when you're looking at a partner, see if they have any intellectual property that really differentiates them. So it could be, integration capabilities. What are your existing IT processes? Are there APIs that they can leverage and develop custom integrations with those processes, right? So as we think about software and how that changes that consumption journey, these are the types of things that partners will. We know we have thousands of them out there who are ready to help you with this stuff, but it's good to vet that they have these areas of expertise so that your journey with the EA is as smooth as possible. Gary, I think we've hit the perfect recipe. I can smell it in the air, I can taste it, but how do we make sure that our guests don't go home hungry?
Yeah, let's talk about some key takeaways. And one of my favorite parts of a meal is actually the takeaways because it lets me continue to enjoy the experience long after I sat down for that nice dinner. 3 things for you to take home today. Number 1, the enterprise agreement and the new generally available EA 3.0 really does give you access to all the technology through software that you need. It delivers the value, it delivers on those 3 pillars: business agility, the premium experience, and the unmatched value. So leverage the enterprise agreement and EA 3.0 as the way to get your software. Second, the lifecycle approach is fundamental to unlocking all of that value and not only solving for today's use cases, but being prepared for the use cases that haven't even shown themselves yet. And taking that lifecycle approach and working with Cisco and your partner is really fundamental to taking that lifecycle and putting it into your business. Third, and certainly most important, is choose the right partner, work with that partner, map out your strategy, and they will help you navigate this so you can stay focused on your core business. Those are really the 3 takeaways that I would offer our audience today. Now, I'd like to say first, thank you very much for taking time during lunch for us to talk about food. I've probably made you more hungry at this point. But as you get ready to depart, there's a few things we'd like to ask from you. Number 1, please complete the survey. We're up for our 3rd Michelin star, and we're hoping we earn your trust in earning that next star. As well, those surveys really matter because you can give us feedback in terms of what we can be doing better to improve the experience. Speaking of improving the experience, we'd love to keep the conversation going. You've all been invited into a WebEx room where myself and all of my chefs will participate in answering any questions that you have, whether it's about licensing, partnering, or anything you've learned today. Or if you want to stock your pantry, we can certainly give you advice on how to do that too. And last but not least, please continue your learning. Cisco Live is a great place for us to learn, connect, network, and solve today's business problems and anticipate tomorrow's. I'd like to thank you on behalf of our entire kitchen staff for being here and wish you a wonderful afternoon. Thank you, everybody.
Bon appetit.
Bon appetit. We do have a little time, so we'll be sticking around. If anybody has any questions or would like to chat, feel free to come to the front of the room, or if there's anything that maybe the whole room would benefit from, if someone has a question, raise your hand and we can cook together. Any questions? Okay, well with that, we can say bon appetit. Thank you for joining us, and if you would like to chat with us afterwards, we'll be around for a while. Thanks very much.
Thanks, everyone.